Okay, let's look and see how this is going. And just all those watching out there now, if you haven't already, you can follow Slytherin's channel. Many great streamers here, playing many great games. Mission briefing. And it's Guderian. It's time to end the Sitzkrieg in the West. I'm not going to do a fake German accent. It wouldn't be good. To break the stalemate, Berlin has decided to launch an all-out offensive against France, since the French-German border is protected by the mighty fortifications of the Maginot Line. We have to find another way to reach our objectives and to avoid static trench warfare seen during World War I. The operation codename Fall Gelb. We aim to quickly dash through Netherlands, Belgium before the Allies can organize an effective defense, while the enemy is developing forces to halt, or deploying, I should say, forces to halt our advance through Belgium towards northern France. We will move formations south for a surprise attack on Sedan. This is the crucial part of our plan. By sending armored forces through the Ardennes to cross the Meuse River at Sedan, we will be in a position to advance to the English Channel. This will enable us to cut off large numbers of French, British, and Belgian forces that are still defending our attacks further north. Your forces are required to quickly invade Belgium and defeat the border defenses, including Fort Eben-Amal. Then advance further westward, but be prepared for the French and the BEF forces deploying in the Brussels-Namur region. They have significant armored and aerial support units at their disposal. Another part of your force has to advance towards Sedan. We expect only sporadic resistance when passing through the Ardennes, but assault crossing the Meuse River will be no easy task. You also need to secure Luxembourg. It is virtually undefended. I had to learn how to read too, shouldn't I, guys? But the French might organize more substantial defense given enough time, so move fast. Okay, drive through the Ardennes, capture 3 primary VPs in central Belgium, destroy the Fort Eben-Amal in 2 turns, occupy Luxembourg in 2 turns, complete the mission in 35 turns, so we're not probably going to complete it today. Capture Brussels as secondary objectives. Okay. Right. So we have some forces already on the board. I'm not sure if we get to control them, or that's another AI. Allied, hopefully we will. Okay, let's look here. We have a fair number of forces, so we need to reinforce here, or points, I should say. We are going to need to use armor this time, I am sure. Let's get it fully up there. Now, we may see about motorizing some of our infantry. Well, fortunately, our heavy infantry is motorized as it is now, because otherwise it would be particularly slow. I really wish I could motorize this force. Germans kept about 400k armed men throughout the war in Norway. Thanks for that number. I did not know it was that high. I knew it was large. I knew it was well over 100,000. And so you can look at, you say throughout the war, I don't know all the time, but definitely once America comes into the war, you see significant reinforcing in the West, even before you get the torch invasions down in North Africa. So that there's, a steady build up there. And what would 400,000 men And yeah, I don't know if you probably some of you guys have watched some of TIK's very good videos on things, and he talks about, well, if you just sent more men to, the Stalingrad front, they just starved because they were, this is even before being cut off, because Germany was already at max rail capacity trying to feed the troops they had there. Yeah, well, that's in that one location, but and Germany throughout the whole period of the war is increasing rapidly. And the one thing, and I keep harping on this, the one thing they do in the American style, and not the American style, is to sort of get to a model of vehicle and keep making it for quite some time and before doing it, where the Germans are constantly tinkering with the models of tanks or weapons of whatever, doing it, is the the Kriegsengine, I think it's called, the war engine. They make one model of coal-based steam engine and just spam that out of their factories, for railways, and also pumping out flat cars and other box cars and whatnot. But they're pumping out one type of engine, and they ramp up during the war engine production. Like I say, they've got a lot of steel. There is questions on how to allocate it, sure, but they've got a lot of steel, enough steel, not enough for everything you could possibly dream of doing, but they've got enough for what they need. It's not in my opinion, it's not the critical element like tungsten was or like oil was. It's a situation where steel production is meeting the basic needs. So they're putting out lots and lots of railway engines, railway cars. So it's not so much that they don't have enough railway cars to supply out to Stalingrad. It's the infrastructure of the railroads as they're currently functioning. They're being sabotaged, converted over to the European standard, all these other limitations on it. That you could easily have used 400,000 more men on the Eastern Front. In say 42, 41, 41 would be too early, 42 or 43, and by 44 you can withdraw that 400,000 men from the Eastern Front and put them on the sort of European mainland, if you will, Western Front. Yeah, I started with 6 divisions, went to 18 divisions and 44. Yeah, very good, Van Bishop. And that's, hello, Fusel, GER. Yeah, there was about 100,000 men that Germany used in 7 divisions during, he says it was 6 in 1940, but I think whether you count the mountain troops as a full division or something, I think is sort of the variant there. So yeah, all of that could be sent somewhere else usefully. Okay, so we need to take out Luxembourg, and we need to do it in 2 turns. Okay, well, these forces are not well organized up, and we're going to see about upgrading to a truck. Okay, so that gives us German infantry here. We have some over here for these Panzer IIIs, Panzer IIs. Normally I like to before I start the stream, and Panzer Is up here to do the deployment, but since we're catching this in the middle, so okay. We're going to put them down here, and because we are sort of looking at a Ardennes Sedan thrust as well. Let's put some 38Ts here. And These are some of our other forces here that are, these are deployed forces, reserves. Yeah, that's the same basic thing. Okay. That means I want to purchase. We have. I thought we had aerial reconnaissance. Maybe that was. No, that may have been for this last scenario. So let's look at reconnaissance. Just deploy. We're going to deploy that. Some armor concentrated there. We do have a lot of air factors. Let's put those, no, those there, these here, and then let's yeah, this counts as an air. Reconnaissance as well. Now I want to make a dash. And this is not going to be the main front for the dash. But let's put that there so that we can see what we're getting into. Okay, that's going to be our sort of central push. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, one of these guys down here. These guys are there. These guys will come here. Now to support our push, because we need to take some of the central Belgian areas. I'm just going to upgrade these. Oh no, transportation. No, can't add transportation to this. Those, okay. Okay, well. There we go, these guys could have it. Well, let's do that. Let's try this. Hey, thanks, Billbeard. How you doing? For being a subscribed on Prime. Usually quality is a factor as well, but in Africa they had 2 to 4 divisions till the end of summer 2, and max 6 to 7 and 43. Yeah, see, again, the Germans are sort of late to it in that they only really send the 6 to 7 divisions when North Africa's already lost, not when it could actually change the outcome of either the campaign or the war. They only put in the units after it's lost. Now, it was going to be easier to logistically support them in Tunisia than it was to support them out in Egypt, but still, they could have, should have sent more divisions earlier on in North Africa when it could have changed the outcome. Okay, well, I like to save here. I'll just call it that. Right, just in case we want to come back, we don't like what we see. So, okay, drive through Ardennes, Central Belgium, three victory points. Ebenemal. Oh, we didn't really look at Ebenemal. Where 2 turns? Well, don't know that we're going to get that in 2 turns. Is that Ebenemal? Was that it? No, I don't know. We'll see. Right, well, it didn't look like we had much of the paratroopers. Okay. So we're going to rush our trucks down here. Now we're going to fly our reconnaissance craft up like that. Just getting really bad getting through these forests. Is that the case? Yes. Wow, this is going to be slow getting through here. Okay, well, I want the reconnaissance forward. We'll move these guys to here. Put them on the road. No way to tell for sure, but surely some reasoning in terms of resources allocation makes you wonder whether Norway was... Yeah, that's exactly it, Van Bishop. I have long been, I mean, for the last 35 years, long been a strong believer that it would have done better for Germany to have Italy as a friendly neutral. Would have been better than let's just zip into here with you to sort of as a reconnaissance. Oh well, oh good, maybe that's well within there. Would have had it better as a friendly neutral than as a active combatant. I don't know which one of these represents Ebenemal. Probably that one. I don't know that we're going to try to take that without friendly glider troops too. They don't want to be right on the river. going back. We gotta get through that bit of woods. Oh, we're fighters, yes. Oh, we found the British, Belgian armor. Well, hurt them a little bit. Don't know that that would be any better. Oh, the anti-aircraft gun, yeah, move you up. Right, okay. Yeah, a little too close to that A again. News of German attack in the west and the Allies' retreat from Norway prompts a change in the British government. After Chamberlain's resignation, Churchill becomes Prime Minister, vowing to continue the fight against Germany. Churchill, the modern left is trying to give Churchill a bad name. And Churchill, even in his time, was a flawed character. I'm not going to suggest he wasn't. And I know I have at least one Indian friend who just vehemently hates Churchill for the famine that happened in India during World War II. But I think Churchill on the whole was a great man. And if any one person, he is the most responsible for saving modern Western society from going totally dark. Because if he had not stood up against Hitler the way he did, and I keep blanking on the other choice for prime minister, because there was three guys in the room, and it was going to be two of the three guys because the third guy was Chamberlain. The other guy, I'm picturing his face, I just blank on his name. He would have probably ended up negotiating with the Nazis, not surrendering Britain, but negotiating with the Nazis, and that would have probably kept FDR from intervening. And yeah, it's Churchill. Churchill is it. Churchill is the one who does it. Okay, well. So we're seeing a bunch of fortifications there. I'm saying seeing because there may be others. Yeah, I was worried about that, and that was stupid. I attacked without fully thinking about, or well, no, I thought about it, but I still attacked. Okay, you come here. Machine gun that bunker. So they've blown that bridge, it looks like. Well, no, it doesn't look like. I guess we can't move there. That's weird. Okay. Well, I guess we'll come down this way. Move up the AA gun just in case it can do some good. You come to this side. Oh, nobody there? How interesting. The artillery will come here. Racer? Yeah, there is a fortress here, and I think it's that, but I am not sure. It doesn't come up with the name when I either click on it or hover over it. Or is this supposed to be Ebonimal, or is that not just a foxhole? So probably not. That could be what's considered Ebonimal. And Ebonimal was sort of Ebonimal, or however you pronounce it, was one of several pre-war, built, I think, in the 30s. When Germany is starting to rearm and people are starting to get worried, but built well before the outbreak of the war. And it's sort of the major one that is sort of like we're picturing here, an artillery fort that is designed to put a lot of fire to control the bridges along here to stop an enemy advance. And with the idea that there would be, entrenched infantry around. Okay, well, we're not going to keep you there because there's the AA again. So we're going to send you this way as a bit of a reconnaissance. Maybe I should have put more bombers up there to bomb the fortress. Now we have... Yeah, it's just getting stuck in the woods. Okay, you fly this way. Oh, we see an artillery piece there. Good, okay. You go to there. I think we need to go after the Belgian tanks first. These woods are really slowing us up, which is probably appropriate. Yes, they did take it with gliders. Very correct. He also played a pivotal role in convincing FDR to intervene in time to avoid Stalin's rule over Western Europe. Judging historical character by today's popular standards is a disservice to human intelligence. Absolutely, Van Bishop. I have a lot of opinions about modern left, do we? Oh, very much evil. But it's, how do I put it? I'm not trying to get political here. But it's, and I'm specifically talking about how that they want to judge people from the past by today's standards. Well, okay, evil Yvonne. Well, you can check out, and I guess I'll plug it now. You can check out my YouTube channel where I will get more political because I am here representing Slytherin, and we want everybody to play their games. We're not being divisive here, but I will bring up when we do talk about a historical figure how, because it isn't the modern right. There are problems with the modern right, for sure. You can follow my YouTube or subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow my Twitch channel. No, it is not. That's what I'm saying. I'm not getting political here. But I'm just talking about how they are. It is not a political company. We want everybody to play Slytherin games. Don't think it's just for a particular thing. But I do talk about the politics around the historical periods that we are playing the games. But it's the modern left who is what I'm talking about, is trying to judge Churchill by today's standards and not by the standards of the day and the person that he was. So, yeah, that is what I'm talking about here. Anybody we haven't moved yet? Oh, damn it, I forgot about these guys. Oh, damn it, forgot all about these guys. Okay, well, thanks your Swiss advance. Well, I guess we didn't. We got Luxembourg. Probably didn't need to send the other tanks this way, but we'll be able to maybe move them up along this way. Right. Can't move forward. Can't get forward. Okay. This was a bad mistake. Get that unit almost killed, maybe eventually killed. How hard it was in days without the US or even the Soviets. Oh, it was a difficult time back then. Very much so. Very, very much so. Okay, well, let's see. No, I'd rather be oh. Okay, we found a landmine field, a minefield. Now, oh, no, oh, shit. You've heard me talk about how much I hate this doesn't have a back button. So that was a misclick. Okay, way out of possible range. I want to strafe it with our 110s. Hurt it fairly badly. Okay, so we're gonna go after our artillery piece there. Hurt it somewhat, and strafe it again. Hurt it some more. We retreat back, we pursue. Okay, we are definitely facing a road block there, if you will. No, definitely a traffic jam. Getting a bit of a crossfire there. Malmedy. Well, we don't want to go into the heavy forest, but we do want to take that. Yes, no, we did not take that in enough time. pressure on them. And we're going to continue our reconnaissance around here. I know we just have him here, but I'm trying to get the reconnaissance aircraft in the back, avoiding that anti-aircraft gun. So we're going to strafe these guys here. Keep them a bit suppressed. Oh, the tanks are running away. Ouch. They're bringing reinforcements. At least we're on dry land, but we get pushed back. Oh goody, you're bringing in fighters and we got an anti-aircraft gun. I've done something right, people. I have an anti-aircraft gun near where there's aircraft. Enemy aircraft, that is. Let's think about that for the moment. Here, though. And because we wouldn't start the turn with it switched up, it doesn't let us to attack there. Okay, there's a unit in that town there. Let's move up here. These guys, yeah. We're going to push on these guys. We're not going to go to occupy the bridge. That's just a weak spot. Being there. Before that time, let's strafe with that. We're going to drop artillery or bombs on the artillery. Take out the artillery. I'm going to stay here because I want to pin these forces. Panzer Force C, I miss this tank in Panzer Corps. Yeah, Okay, give some of the doctrinal ideas here with some of these tanks. The Panzer IV-C, or the early Panzer IVs, were thought of as a support tank. They, eventually they end up with a long-barreled 75, but here they have the short barrel, the L-24 gun. Guderian, who was not designing these tanks, but definitely, shall we say, having input into the design of the tanks. I don't know how extensive it goes. I do know that Guderian very much wanted, it's here, wanted a 50 millimeter gun on the Panzer III. Now, it starts out with a 37 millimeter gun. They just don't really have a 50 millimeter gun ready for the vehicle, but the tank is designed in that the anticipated, shall we say, size of the gun, the not just the barrel going out, but the breech in the back of the tank and the ammunition size. The tank is designed for that purpose. Now, these vehicles come with a 37 millimeter main gun and 2 machine guns, one coaxial and one, well, there actually are a few, and I don't know if it was I think it was before the E, actually had 2 MG42s in the turret, but that's just a brief model, because they're seeing that from World War I, the machine gun may be the primary weapon of a tank. And so this vehicle is designed to take on other enemy tanks. Specifically as such, it has a rather good tank destroying gun in the 37 millimeter, in the German 37, much better than the weak 37 millimeter that the Italians use, or the very weak French 75 or 37 millimeter gun. So it's designed to be able to, machine gun infantry, use the 37 millimeter gun to some degree to shoot at strong points, but mostly that's to knock out enemy vehicles, particularly tanks. Where the Panzer IV-C, like I say, is designed as a support tank. Its 75 millimeter gun is a relatively low velocity gun, but it's putting a fair amount of high explosive out on the enemy. It has the 2 machine guns. It's set up to machine gun. It has no thicker armor. It is not designed as a heavy tank. It's just a support tank. Again, it's designed with a hull and turret setup that is large enough to go for expansions. It's clearly seen as such. Now, the Panzer II, it's really just a training tank that ends up getting pressed into service. It is not even considered like a reconnaissance vehicle. Now, it's not a tank that's without functional use on the battlefield. And coming up to the Panzer I, it does have functional use, but it is also really very much a training tank. And it's not, both of these vehicles, it's not so much, I mean, it is an element of it, but it's not so much to train tank crews for something else. No, it's to train the German armed forces, the German evolving panzer forces, if you will, in how to do panzer warfare. What does armored warfare look like? How does it interact with infantry? How does it interact with artillery? How does it interact with air or anti-tank guns or any of these other things? What are the strengths and weaknesses? What are the tactical doctrines? How do you move, basically, how do you move down the road? These are the kinds of things they're trying to figure out, because they don't want to go into the first war. They had a few of the A7Vs in World War I, but that doesn't count. They had in the 20s a few Gross tractors, big tractors that had a gun mounted on them. But really, they haven't fought a war with tanks. How do you do it? Do you just drive down the road and then all of a sudden, as you're coming down this road, you get opened up on with anti-tank rifles and get all shot up? How do you do advances? How do you do reactions to an enemy advance? Not just a defensive situation, but is it a counterattack? That's what I'm talking about with a training vehicle. It's not. I mean, yes, you are training the vehicle commander / gunner and the driver how to do that part, but it's more of a tactical training situation, and that's what these are. Later, mid-war, you see the Panzer II Loesch, which is almost an entirely redesign of the vehicle, and that is designed as a reconnaissance vehicle. And they push Panzer IIs, Panzer Is to some degree into a reconnaissance role, though Panzer I really is not suited for it. And I don't know. I've often wondered, and just never been mentioned in the books. Later, after the Battle of France, someone designs and builds a Panzer II. They just build a few of them. I think they're basically prototypes. But a Panzer II with super thick armor, but just the 2 machine guns in it. And I have to either what idiot or what engineer, because an engineer may design something and doesn't understand what's it for. Well, this is, now we have a Panzer II Panzer I. This is a Panzer I, not a Panzer II, if I was saying Panzer II. This is a Panzer I that can, you can shoot at it with a, 45 millimeter Soviet tank gun, and the armor will bounce it. See here, you're protected in your Panzer Is. If there was a military idiot thinking that that's a good idea, when you should just build something with a better gun on it, and have armor it up for sure. But the idea that you're sticking to this design concept of 2 men with 2 light machine guns. You're not even looking at a heavily armored Panzer II, which the Loesch is a bit heavier than the earlier ones, but it's designed to be a light reconnaissance vehicle, not a Tiger with just machine guns. So this is not really a good reconnaissance vehicle. Especially if you look at the time, and these are just moderately good, is the 222. I really like the 222. It's 4-wheel. It has a 20 millimeter main gun with a coaxial MG34 machine gun. So, okay, here you go. You got a vehicle that has approximately the same armor capabilities, and you don't necessarily look at pure armor thickness. Look at the angles of the armor and whatnot. So it's approximately the same armor characteristics. It's a lot faster on roads. On good terrain, cross country, it can do okay. Before they started with the 6 rad, which is just built around a truck chassis with 3 axles. The 6 rad is not very good at cross country. They end up all that's left of them after the Battle of France get turned over basically to the police or something. They're just not functionally good. Is the 8 rad or 4-axle 8-wheel. That they're already building early examples, I believe. I don't know if they're used in the Battle of France, but already starting to build some of them as a wheeled reconnaissance vehicle, and with much better cross-country support. So we're looking at that, and so it's so much better than a Panzer I that it has a 20 millimeter gun on it and a machine gun. It's faster, more maneuverable across a lot of the terrain. You can Russian mud, well, yeah, maybe the Panzer I to do better, though its tracks are very narrow. But you get a maybe there, and in some use examples, I could go that a Panzer I or Panzer II may be more maneuverable, but in so many of the others, you already have a better vehicle here. And for getting out and looking, getting your head out and looking around, it's going to do better than a Panzer II. So I already had better reconnaissance vehicles. The 30. And we have, before I forget, we have our 38Ts. Now these are captured in the 35Ts. The 38Ts were designed in 38, put into production. Basically, I mean, there's prototypes, but basically put in production by the Germans once they get Czechoslovakia. But the skilled crew can do miracles. The B-1 was terrible. The rest of the French tanks also. On the other hand, the Matilda was hard to knock out for, yes. And you always have to compare tanks in the world in which they're functioning, you know, their opposition. Very much so. The French armor was reasonably heavy. Now, it's one thing, do note that these guys, both the 38 and 35T, have a 37 millimeter gun, but it takes different ammunition than the German 37 millimeter gun, 37 millimeter guns. The Pak 36 and the Panzer III take the same ammunition. This takes a different ammunition. This is why Rommel's division was 38Ts, the 7th Panzer Division, and is it the 6th of the 8th? The other division that's equipped with the 35Ts, they separate them out so that logistically they know to send the right ammunition to the unit, is part of the function. And we get ambushed again. Will Gamer ever learn? No, we apparently not. Hello, Sun Temple Radio. How you doing? Did they have a Panzer IV already in France? Yes, they did. And we see here, we were talking earlier, maybe you just weren't here, is the Panzer IV-C. It's the short-barreled Panzer IV. They had a few of them. The great bulk of the tanks were Panzer IIs and Panzer Is. They have some Panzer IVs. They have more, like in the idea of a handful or two, like less than, probably definitely less than 20 Stugs in France. It's a very few. I don't know the numbers, but I'm 12 is in my head, but I don't know that that's right, that were available and used in the Battle of France. Stugs. Now that's a assault gun inspired by von Manstein as a unit that ends up going to the artillery. See, a Panzer IV is part of, and by its name, a Panzer, is part of the tank force. The tanks use it. The Stugs, assault guns, are the artillery. So the artillery drives the Stugs. Later in the war, yes, Stugs are issued to Panzer units in lieu of Panzers. But this is sort of, you get the Jagdpanzer IVs, and there was a debate on what to call them. Do you call them Jagdpanzers, or do you call them Stugs? And the reason there's a debate on it is not for the cool naming purposes. If they're called Jagdpanzers, they're going to be part of the Panzer Force. If they were going to be called Stugs, they were going to be part of the artillery, as who's sort of controlling them. So it's the name is meaningless, really. It's the importance of the name is what branch of the service is going to get the Jagdpanzers, and then the later Jagdpanthers in and around all that. Panzer IV in this time was worse than the Panzer III. It was more like well, that's what I was saying, support tank to destroy bunkers. It was worse at destroying tanks, but better at destroying infantry. Because when you fire that 75 millimeter gun and you explode it in and amongst just a bunch of infantry, these guys are like Chasseurs, Ardennes, mountain troops of the Ardennes, or hunters of the Ardennes. Their ace took out a bunch of 34s. Yes, you can. Stugs were infantry support vehicles. Yes, but they were under the tactical control of the artillery, like the other artillery supporting the infantry. That was their sort of role. Okay, we have this guy. Oh, we haven't moved or fired him. Do we want to move or do we want to fire him? We're not going to go very far. We're not going to do that. I think we're going to move him. Who could we strafe? Ooh, we can come up here and Shoot at this guy. And so both the Panzer IVs and the Stug 3s are support vehicles. They're tactically designed to do different things, or do their support in different ways. We're going to reinforce you. You're just sitting back here chilling, getting reinforced. Yeah, I guess we'll kill this unit outright. Hopefully. Good. He'll no longer bother us. I'm going to risk being in the truck because Gamer doesn't learn. Let's reconnaissance up here. Well, let's move this way. We'll see about there. And so tactically speaking, the idea is with a Stug and the way it was conceptually used. I'm sure it ended up used in all manners of ways, but it's conceptually looked at that you're going to have an infantry advance, you know, like a line of infantry moving forward, and the Stug sort of behind them, firing at identified enemy positions that need a 75mm round on them. And the early ones don't even have a machine gun on them, and they're made with thick armor facing the enemy to try to deal with, you know, support fire from bunkers and stuff. Where the Panzer IVs are designed to sort of do what I've done here with this Panzer II, is to move around and envelop the infantry while using its gun. So it's the same, support element, knocking out bunkers, knocking out other sorts of entrenched infantry positions effectively, but you're doing so in a different tactical manner. They later make some anti-tank Stugs, but you're right, from the start Stugs was something like mobile artillery. Well, as time goes on, they start sticking on the longer barreled 75mm gun, and they end up knocking out a huge number of tanks. Though if you also look with that, they also have the Stu-42, which is basically the same vehicle, but they put in a 105mm howitzer gun that really can't point up into the air very high, so it's not very long range. It can do indirect fire, absolutely, but it's not set up for that. Mainly it's just to put, instead of a 75mm round, it's to put a 105mm round onto that bunker or whatever. And they set those up. Those are often in a support role as 3 Stugs and 1 Stu as a unit of 4 tanks or 4 vehicles. I remember he was ordered to do recon but engage Soviet tanks. Yeah, there's a lot of that using targets of opportunity instead of following the orders as given. They moved out of here before my anti-aircraft guns could shoot at them. Ooh. I knew they were going to get cut off at least temporarily. And now we're getting artillery from over here. Good. We're getting attacked. Good. Will Gamer never learn? No. We've solved that, but maybe the AI won't learn either. But oh, the tanks are running away from me. They're getting away. Okay, reinforcements have been released to support our further advances. Very good. Okay. Pack 36. Some infantry. Very good. Now, down here. Oh. I thought they've retreated further back, but no, Gamer still doesn't learn. Do we kill them all, or do we have to pursue them? We kill them all, so we're not going to advance into that. Come on, can't we use trucks more efficiently? That's what I was hoping to do with this force. It looks like there is nobody there, so we'll move this way. Oh, they're there. They are there. And we're going to move you up to here. Yep, the Belgian tanks are leaving. This is part of a campaign. This is the part of the Blitzkrieg DLC, which is the base game that you buy if you're buying Order of Battle on consoles, which is coming out, and I forget which, or it's on some and going to be coming out on another one. I forget which one. Sorry, I play on PC, or it's the DLC for on PC. The game is a free-to-play. Order of Battle is free-to-play. The game, there's the basic sort of initial training missions, and then you get the first mission of each of the DLCs for free, and then you got to pay from there. So if you're interested, this is the Blitzkrieg DLC. Thursday, I will be back streaming here, streaming Order of Battle. And we will be showing off Order of Battle World War II, which this is, the DLC Allies Defiant. So it will be the first look at the newest DLC for this, for the Allies. So if you are interested, and we know he's over here, so let's fly down here. Let's try to shoot him down somewhere. I'm not sure. I haven't gotten a look at it. I've asked Eraser. I've asked for this morning for a copy of the DLC so that I can find out and maybe play test it beforehand, or at least have it maybe by the time by Thursday to be able to play it. I'll at least do the first opening moves of some of the first turn, but it's Allies Defiant. No, not Allies, Allies Resurgent. So I'm guessing, but I don't know that America will be there. I'm going to ignore the Dutch. Doesn't everybody? Yeah, I suspect. I mean, I wish I could say. I just don't know. I presume so. I don't see why it wouldn't be. Why we wouldn't have the U.S. as part of it all. Okay, well, he zipped along this road out here, so let's drive to here. Oh, there he is. Yay, we found him. Now, we're going to bomb him. We're going to go off the target, but stay next to the aircraft for escort purposes. Okay, well, I guess we'll strafe these guys. Let's fly you. We won't necessarily see him if oh, we found a Hotchkiss 35, which is very similar to a Renault 35 or H35 R35s. Virtually the same, but not quite the same in that nothing, well, except for the gun. The guns are the same, the machine guns are the same. But everything else is different. But they're the same. Meaning they're same purpose, same function, same layout. Has a World War I surplus 37mm gun from the Renault FT-17 tanks, and a coaxial French machine gun. I forget the model. Okay, guys. Well, I want to thank you all for joining me today. We've gone a bit longer than scheduled. I hope I was entertaining and informative. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel here. You can also follow me over on Twitch. I stream for myself mostly on the weekends. Historical games. And you can catch me on YouTube for lots of videos of this game, including earlier segments of this over on YouTube. You're very welcome, Jukulius. And like I say, I will be back